The 5 Laws on the Eternity of Lifechanyuan. Siafang. November 13, 2005. Translated by Transin. Dr. Christopher Langton, the principal researcher at Los Alamos National Life Laboratory in the United States, said, "Life's essence lies not in its specific substance, but in its form." This means that life's essence has nothing to do with material, and it is just a form, a structure without material and a sign invisible to our naked eyes. Genes, the building blocks of life, seen as the human genome with scientific instruments, is actually not life's essence, but only the expression of a sealed book of life. This is why people can make spaceships, but not even make an ant. It is not completely right to say that the essence of life lies in its form, because its form is just a rigid structure, but life itself is movable with spirituality and consciousness. Therefore, a life is a non-material structure with spirituality. At present, we must understand how these non-material structures with spirituality come into being and how they are born. If lives are material structures, then all the things produced by people such as bicycles, clothes, desks, toothbrushes, pencils, and so on are also lives. Obviously, lives are absolutely not material structures, but non-material structures, and therefore only those who understand the whole of non-material world can create them. For humans, creating the non-material structure is the hardest nut to crack, but for those who understand the non-material world, it is just a piece of cake. The problem is that life cannot be spiritual with only non-material structures because they must possess spirituality. However, where can we get the spirituality? For the masses, this is an easy question to answer. They will say, it comes naturally or it originates from evolution. If you ask further, what is nature and how can it come naturally? Life is a non-material structure with spirituality, but how do they evolve by themselves? Those people, with shaking heads and angry eyes, would say, naturally means naturally, and evolution means to evolve step by step. If you go on further, they will become very impatient and say that we are taking unnecessary pains to study an insoluble question. You can visit http://www.lifechanyuan.com to search and browse my critical articles about the theory of evolution. Now, we have to ask the questions: what is the universe and why does it exist? In time and space of the universe, we learned that the universe exists as order and remains relatively stable with the total sum of negative and positive energy always equaling 0. What is this order used for? If we ask what political order is for, what is the purpose of the legal and administrative order established by people, the answer must be that it is a social order established with the aim of serving mankind. Then, what is the order of the universe used for? I have discussed this very clearly in different sections of Chanyuan corpus and Siafang corpus. The universe is designed to serve life. If either perishes, then so will the other. Therefore, as long as the universe exists, life will continue. This is a basic law. Actually though, the thing that concerns us is not the survival or extinction of the macroscopic life of the whole universe, but that of our individual lives. In other words, what we really care about is, am I going to die forever? This involves such problems as the structure of the universe, the balance of life, the morality of the universe, and others, so I have written some simple discussions about symmetry in nature, mysterious and great power, and the golden mean, perfect proportion. We know that the core of order is symmetry, the universe is orderly, so the universe is symmetrical, and the Taiji diagram is a vivid simile for this. We also understand that the universe is holographic, that one cell can reflect all styles and features. Therefore, we come to the conclusion that life is symmetrical. This symmetry is not only reflected in that of certain individual lives, but in all lives in the universe. From 36-dimensional space, we can see that the zero world, heaven world, Elysium world, cathode black hole body, the 10,000-year world, and the 1,000-year world are symmetric to the inflamed layer, frozen layer, hell world, plant world, animal world, and livestock world. The mortal world is at the exact interface of these two symmetrical worlds. In this way, the symmetry of the whole universal lives is formed, namely the simplified overall structure of life, heaven, the mortal world, and hell. The universe has universal morality. Once it is reflected in any individual life, it represents the evolution of that life, its transmigration and reincarnation. For example, if a person's consciousness and thinking resonates on the same frequency as the morality of the universe, then their life can evolve toward heaven, the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world. Otherwise their life will evolve toward hell, the hell world, inflamed layer, or the frozen layer. Of course, this is just a general version. For a specific individual life, the evolution of life is much more complex. Why is life allowed to evolve? The answer is to maintain the morality of the universe and the dynamic balance of the whole of life. When the amount of any kind of life becomes too large within a limited space, it will have breached its symmetry, that is, it will have exceeded its limit. Similarly, if the amount of a certain kind of life is too small, it will also have breached its symmetry. This is just as with an industrial corporation with hundreds of employees, only one general manager is wanted, and a few division managers, a maximum of 50 sales and logistics personnel, and the highest number of employees should work on the front line. If there are 1 or 90 on the front line, more than 90 sales or logistical personnel, or more than 50 division managers, this corporation is certain to fail. In order to ensure the normal survival and development of any corporation, its allocation of personnel has to be symmetrical. Certainly, this symmetry focuses mainly on the energy aspect rather than the quantity. The symmetry must be movable and flexible, not rigid and stiff. This is like the Earth's allocation of water. Seas and oceans account for the vast majority at 97.24%, glaciers and icebergs are 2.14%, underground tunnels are 0.61%, and rivers and lakes are only 0.0001%. However, all this water has to keep on flowing and cycling through meteorological changes and the earth movements. To maintain a dynamic balance, or life could not survive here. The total amount of life's allocations in the universe is also like this. The amount of flora and fauna should be absolutely abundant, that of humans has to be moderate, the amount in hell is in no way smaller than the number of humans in the mortal world, and the amount in paradise has to be absolutely small. This certainly does not reflect a symmetry of quantity, but rather one of energy. It does not matter if there are a lot of ordinary people, but it does matter when there are too many kings. As a man sows, so he shall reap. Reap what one sows. Dispensing reward and punishment impartially and being meticulous are laws to safeguard the life dynamic balance and reflect the morality of the universe. Without this restriction of universe morality, the universe will be out of order, and life will perish. The morality of the universe will not change according to the will of life. It is a law which hides in structural symmetry. As long as the universe exists, then too does its morality, and as long as it does, life will remain imperishable. This is another law of the eternity of life.